He-Man and the Masters of the Universe from Amazon and Mattel out in theaters this weekend, and the box office numbers for this are absolutely abysmal, especially when compared to its reported $170 million production costs. It only managed to pull in, as of right now, the Sunday estimates, about $54 million, not just from America, but from around the entire planet of Earth. It's frankly a terrible start for a movie like this, even though the audience reactions seem to be overwhelmingly positive from the people I've spoken to. But buried in some of the data reported by Deadline magazine this weekend, we might just have an answer as to why. Let's talk about that. Online. Woo-wee, these numbers, man. These numbers are not pretty. They are really, really not pretty. There's no way to sugarcoat this whatsoever. Masters of the Universe has flopped at the box office. Now, I did get to go see it Wednesday night this week when they had the fan early preview screenings. I took my son to it, and remember that for a moment because that's going to become very important with some of the data I'm about to show you as to why this movie is failing and why I think it's actually even worse news for Mattel than it is for Amazon. But this movie has only managed to generate about $29 million in the domestic box office its opening weekend. And that's opposed to Scary Movie 6, which has torn it up with $55 million. Basically, Scary Movie 6 has outgrossed the entire planet of Earth when it comes to Masters of the Universe in North America alone. Backrooms still coming in strong at 26, Obsession at 25.6. We'll get more in depth on those numbers on the Sunday Live show, of course, but let's walk through what happened with Masters of the Universe. Again, no beating around the bush at what a beating that Motu took. In fact, it's bigger than the beating that Skeletor took from He-Man at the end of the movie, which was a lot of fun to watch. But these two posts from ERC, Exhibitor Relations, it probably doesn't get any more poignant than this. Masters of the Universe $54 million worldwide debut solidifies MGM's film as the bomb of the summer so far. Let's be honest, the competition is brutal out there right now. Would have been better served as a spring release. Also, these demos speak loudly. This was for older white males, not kids and families. That hurts in the summer session. And the He-Man brand has limits. So does 80s nostalgia. But this is the wall, and Hollywood has hit it hard. This should have had a $75 million budget. Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. And again, anytime we have one of these traditional streaming first companies like Amazon and they pay such a large sum to do a project, you always have to back up and scratch your head is how much of this was turnkey, how much of this was Mattel, did they chip in? Been a little hard to find some information on how the money broke down with this, but certainly there had to be a deal struck first between Amazon and Mattel because Masters of the Universe has traveled through nearly every single Hollywood studio over the last 15 years stuck in production hell, trying to get to this point now, and that's really part of the problem. This movie is at least 10 years too late, and there's data to back that up. This from the Weekend Report at Deadline magazine. Global cume on the $170 million Amazon Studios feature production of Masters of the Universe was not good at $54.3 million worldwide. Divided up, that was $25 million overseas from 86 territories and $29.3 million in North America. What didn't work here? The new generation did not show up for this film, but the old men who savored it as kids in the 1980s, with 45 to 54-year-olds being the biggest demo at 29%. Now, remember that number in just a moment. Kids under 12 repped 5%, and 13 to 17 was only 6%. The math don't math there. When you've got 45 to 50-year-olds, you're talking about me. You're talking about mostly fathers, many of whom probably have kids. I can't imagine there were a lot of childless fathers going to these movies, although it is possible. But I suspect the larger sub-demo of that 45 to 50-year-old demo were dads that do have kids. And this is why I say the movie was 10 years too late. Renegade Jr., who many of you know and have seen on my channel before, just turned 15 years old, and he's my youngest. And I'm about 47 years old. My two oldest are girls, aged almost 21 and 19 years old. Basically, even if I'd had all three boys, they're kind of beyond the age where He-Man and Masters of the Universe would have been something that I could have brought them into as young children to get them interested in the franchise. The 45 to 50-year-olds that are out there, their kids are grown. They're teenagers at this point, if not fully grown 20-something-year-old adults, meaning that gap, the people that came before the 45 to 54-year-olds, in fact, the older, the 55-plus crowd, they weren't into He-Man in the 80s because they were already too old. The ones that are younger than 45 that do have kids didn't really grow up with He-Man either because it was before their time. You had a small window in there to take one of the most popular cartoon and toy franchises of all time, and frankly, Amazon has missed it. Not that they really missed it, but Hollywood in general missed it because, again, this movie has been stuck making its rounds through studios for over a decade before it finally landed on a screen from Amazon MGM.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Kids under 12 that did go see it gave He-Man a 56% must-see right away, so don't expect them to nudge mom and dad much. And the problem is, of course, there were so few. Think about this. 30% of the audience was 45 to 54. That means that only 1 out of 5 of those dads that went to go see Motu in that age range brought a kid that was 13 to 17 years old. Only 1 in 5 brought a kid that was 12 or under. It's simply because their children have largely aged out.
But wait! There's more!
And frankly, that is what really hurts Mattel more than anything. Because Amazon has more cash flow to burn than all the other Hollywood studios combined and probably multiplied by 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 times. They can afford to take a swinger on a $170 million What Might Happen movie, and they got that with Masters of the Universe. Mattel, however, probably spent a large amount of CapEx getting ready for this movie, re-preparing a new toy line to go with it. And when you see demographics like that going into the theater this past weekend, it's not just that the movie only brought in $54 million around the world. It's the fact that only $2.5 million of that box office, frankly, were children that actually would go buy these toys. It was just a miscalculation of time. And I understand that Mattel wanted to try to revitalize this brand, and it's not out of the woods yet. Don't be at all surprised if Amazon turns around and decides to actually produce a sequel for this, albeit they may not go with a theatrical route, but who knows? Again, Amazon is in its nascence when it comes to theatrical exhibition, and it frankly got a really big surprise, if not a spoiler, on their hands when it came to Project Hail Mary early this year, because 2026 was the first year that they have fully committed to theatrical with a dozen releases per year. Motu simply wasn't going to be working out for them. There's nothing good about this, regardless of how you felt with the movie. I had fun with it. I had my quips and qualms about it. I was a little nervous going in, but most of my fears were allayed because I had a lot of fun. My theater was raucous, clapping, cheering, laughing the whole time. And I've heard that from a lot of other people that have gone to see it themselves in their own theaters in completely different areas of the country. So there's a lot of fan positive response to this, although, of course, there are some people that didn't like it.
This is the wokest shit I've seen in years! Years!
And I understand that as well, and that's fine. But nothing can assuage the absolute pain and anguish of a box office like this on opening weekend. Granted, it's got a lot of very popular competition out there otherwise, but this is not how you want to start the summer. And quite frankly, this movie is probably going to lose Amazon a pretty penny. I would have to say at least 100 to 150 million, if not more, maybe 200 million. I don't know what Amazon is spending to globally market these films because we don't really have a good beat or track record on how Amazon handles global P&A in terms of their spend. But I would have to suspect that that figure is probably somewhere close to $100 million, if not maybe a little more or a little less. And that puts this film's total cost probably somewhere around 250 plus million if you believe the $170 million budget figure that Deadline has given us. It isn't going to be pretty. It might even lose 200 million. Who knows? But you know what? Amazon can afford it when pretty much nobody else can.
Oh, come on!
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.